I don't know about you guys, but there's a few things that I'd like to discuss and cover. This is hero discussion number 8. Sorry guys that I haven't done it in the past 2 weeks. I've been looking for more content to cover basically. And I figured this was one of the better times to cover a lot of content, especially since we just had a recent, topping of heroes and everything. So what I'm going to do is this is going to be a deck profile / discussion about the future of heroes in the meta. So, without further ado, let's talk about the deck that top forward. I have it laid out right over here. Alright, this right here, guys, I know you've probably seen the video already, but in case you haven't, this is the deck that top forward. And if you look at it, it's quite similar to what my Miracle Gemini hero was, with the exception of, let's see here, the 2 Barbaros, the 1 Endymion, moving on here, 2 E-Calls instead of just 1, the 2 Dark Bribes, and the 2 Skill Drains. That is the only differences from my Miracle Gemini hero deck that I was running prior to trying the masked heroes. So, that brings us to topic number 1. Topic number 1 is masked heroes. Are they as good as what they appear to be, or are they just a fantasy that is not going to take us anywhere? I personally think that masked heroes are good. I think that their effects are amazing, but here's the problem. Looking at a deck like this, alright, where there's not going to be much changes involved, alright, now, stick with me here. As far as masked heroes go, I tested them at my locals last weekend. I'm sure you guys have seen the 2 deck profiles I put up, the version 1 and the version 2. Lowering your trap count in this deck is a bad idea. That is the worst thing you can possibly do. I tried the 3 Royal Decree version with a bunch of quick plays and hand traps to cover the loss of the traps. Not a good idea. Yes, it did well, but decks that explode like Samurais and such will rape you. I'm going to tell you that right now. You might as well just bend your ass over the table and take it, because they will rape you if you're not running any kind of protection. So, moving on from that, version 2 I ran 8 traps. I ran the Solemn Brigade, Starlight Road, Bottomlesses, and Compulse, and Torrential, and all that stuff. And it actually helped out a little, but the problem is the deck is still inconsistent. The fact that Mass Change isn't as versatile as Gemini Spark, and isn't as good as Miracle Fusion, kind of makes the deck a little inconsistent. If we had some better masked heroes, let alone all the masked heroes that, we've read about in the mangas and all that stuff, I'd say they'd be a little bit better. But right now, even though it seems like a luxury to have a card like Acid where you go, oh, Mass Change Absolute 0 into Acid and blow up your opponent's field. Let's get into the technical part here, guys. Alright, first off, you need to successfully play the Mass Change to get that combo off. If they're sitting on a Solemn Warning, you can pretty much consider it gone. Alright, and Solemn Warning is very heavily run. Personally, I agree with the guy who topped forward, and I do agree with what he said. And the best line out of the video that I saw, and what he said, was that this deck requires consistency. Mark that word somewhere, consistency. Alright? If you look at his build, he ran 2 ofs of cards that weren't consistent. And he ran 3 ofs of cards that might not be consistent, but were still consistent enough to run, or made them more consistent in the deck. Therefore, he could have run 2 Gemini Sparks, because he only had 3 Alias, or he could have ran 3 and risked the inconsistency, but he also ran a 4th target. Now, I'm going to cover my own personal changes to this deck after I cover a few other things. But that's one thing. He also didn't main Super Polys. I've been saying this for a while now. Don't main Super Polys, guys. It's a bad idea right now. Without your Dark target, Super Poly is going to be dead probably about half the time. The Dino Rabbit matchup, you know, it's good against windups maybe, but if you go up against Dark World and Inzectors, and remember, Dark World just won, so they're going to be everywhere. It's going to be like the bandwagon deck now. Everyone's going to be trying to play Dark World. Everybody and their mother is going to play Dark World. And then you're still going to have Dino Rabbit players and Inzectors and windups running around. Alright? So, side the Super Polys, guys. Do yourself a favor. Side the Super Polys. Do yourself a favor as well. If you're going to play Masked Heroes, don't try to go like a route like I did with like the Gemini Sparks and stuff, because it's not going to work. Don't play a low trap count. It's going to screw you over. That's my advice to you. Anyway, moving on. Back to Masked Heroes. Like I said, Masked Heroes are amazing. Their effects are like to die for. But the problem is they rely on a card that is inconsistent. Like, let's go with Dion, for example. Dion is an Earth attribute. It requires you to play Mass Change on an Earth attribute. Hero monster. There are only 3. There's Wildheart, Clayman, and Woodsman. That are just regular monsters. Then you have other ones that aren't worth mentioning, and then you have Gaia, who is worth mentioning. But you have to fusion summon for. So you have to waste an Earth attribute and one of your heroes to bring out the Gaia to mass change it into Dion, and you're minusing way too much. So, now that I've covered that, we're going to move on to Acid. Acid's effect is, you know, to blow up your opponent's back row. That's very appealing. Very appealing indeed. But the question is, or the problem is, you have to run the water targets. And your only water targets are Bubble Man, Ocean, and Ice Edge. They're the only ones that are really... I think that's it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And then Absolute Zero, but once again, you have to fusion summon for 0. Now, if you can get that combo off, it's major pluses to you because you probably just blew away their entire field. But, yeah, you have to make space for these water monsters that have lackluster effects. Yes, Ice Edge has a very good effect. I love Ice Edge. His effect is great, but he's a level 3, and he's only got 800 attack, and it's kind of a waste of a summon to bring him out there when you can just spark or side MSTs or whatever. So what I'm trying to say, guys, is the guy that top 4 with this really opened up my eyes to like certain ways of playing this deck. And where the deck is great, I don't agree with some of his choices, which I'm going to cover next. So I've already covered the top 4 deck. I've already covered why his choices were good, and I've already covered why I don't think Masked Heroes are as great as they appear to be. So, I'm not dissing Masked Heroes. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm not saying don't play them. I'm just saying if you're going to be a competitive hero player, as of right now, I wouldn't really mess around with Masked Heroes too much, especially when this version does so much better. And you're so tight on space when it comes to these decks, it's really hard to fit those cards in. But anyway, I'm moving on to my personal choices that I would change. I would obviously leave the 3 Alias and the 3 Gemini Sparks, but I'll get to the spells later. 3 Alias stay. 1 Stratos, duh. 2 Thunder Kings, absolutely, because it shuts down all of your opponent's searches, and you can stop Xyz and Synchro plays or Cyber Dragons, you know, or Thrashers or any of those cards. Barbaros. Barbaros, I like Barbaros in here, especially with the skill drain, and I'm going to get to another card later. Endymion, I would not play. I would probably play Chevalier over Endymion because I think Chevalier, we'll just put him right there over top. I think Chevalier is better Yes, he's a fire target, but Nova Master's pretty good. He can give you pluses and be game-breaking if that plus is good enough. And he's a Gemini, and he's also a warrior, so it opens up your search engine a little bit wider since you can't search out the Endymion. Going into the spells, 3 Gemini Spark. Obviously wouldn't change that since there's 4 Gemini targets in here. 3 Miracle Fusion, absolutely. 3 Duality, absolutely. Adds consistency to the deck. 2 E-Call, I really like that option because it opens up more searchability to the deck. It's like running another monster. 1 Rhoda, definitely, and especially with the fact of running Chevalier, makes it so much better. Book of Moon, awesome tech card, and pretty much a staple. Same with Monster Reborn, Dark Hole, and Heavy Storm. They're pretty obvious to talk about. D-Prism, I'm not so sure of. Like he said in his video, it's all about winning game 1. And personally, where he said that, you know, since you're running like the 2 Dark Bribes and the Starlight Road, you shouldn't worry too much about game 1. Or you shouldn't worry about it so much with the MSTs and everything. But, like, I'm not worried about the MST. I'm worried more about the Dino Rabbit matchup and some of the other matchups where I'd rather run Bottomless Trap Hole over this card to make sure I got rid of things before they had to attack. I can stop Centipede plays with this. I can stop Wind-Up plays with this. I can stop Dino Rabbit plays, you know. The only thing it's really not good against are those weenie decks like TG and stuff. But you have other cards to help you with that. So I think Bottomless is a better tech here than D-Prism. I want you guys to let me know what you think. Comment down below and share your thoughts and opinions with me on this. But moving on. 2 Hero Blast. I absolutely love 2 Hero Blast. And that's probably the reason why he wasn't playing Bottomless, but he can only kill things that go up to 1900. That's not going to stop Cyber Dragons. That's not going to stop, like, half of the other things. And plus, you have to rely on having that Neos Alias in the graveyard. And I think having the Bottomless on backup is a better idea. 2 Torrential. Probably another reason why he didn't run 2 Bottomless, because he ran, you know, 2 nuke back rows. Yes, it's great to have it at 2. Torrential at 2 is amazing, and everyone should probably play it at 2. But I still think having the Bottomless over the D-Prisms is better, because chainability is what's going to win you the games, this meta. 2 Skill Drain, definitely goes with the deck. It doesn't hurt you at all, and it screws your opponent over. Why not play it? 2 Dark Bribes, I like this tech idea, because it goes with Starlight Road, and you can save your Starlight Roads. Yes, your opponent gets to draw, but the chances of them drawing something that they're really going to need at that point in time over the card that they're probably trying to play on you is very slim. Like, chances are that card that they just drew compared to the one that they just lost is not that good. 2 Solemn Warnings, absolutely. Solemn Judgment, yes. Those 3 cards right there, pretty much seal games. Mirror Force. I haven't been a fan of Mirror Force for quite a while now, just due to the fact of such heavy back row hate. And since there's a lot of protection in here, I can see why it's in here. But I'm very partial to Compulsory Evacuation Device. It's a 1 card out for cards like Zen Mains and everything. And I just love my chainable traps. So, and then 1 Starlight Road. 1 Starlight Road I would definitely keep in here. The only thing I would take it out for is probably a huge Revolution is over. And then his extra deck choices are pretty much standard. You know, you got the 1 Stardust. The level 3s I'm still working on figuring out. He cited Snowman Eaters, so I can kind of see that. Blade Armor, yes. Utopia, yes. Utopia Ray, absolutely. Gaia, 2-0, 3 Shining. He ran 2 Nova Master and 1 Great Tornado. So yeah, guys, I have to end this video because I'm nearing 15 minutes here, and I don't think I can exceed that right now. But I'll probably put up more later. So let me know what you guys think. I hope you guys enjoyed the discussion. Remember to comment, rate, and subscribe. Like the video. Share it with your friends. And this has been Travis from Team YTS, guys, and I will catch you later.